Okay, welcome to a special Board of Selectmen meeting Friday, February 12th, 2016. I think we'll dispense with reading the agenda since there's only one item on the agenda. I want to read this announcement of remote participation. Mark Brandon will be participating remotely today because he's on unavoidable travel. In accordance with the Town of Sherborn Board of Selectmen's policy on remote participation. Mark, are you able to hear us?
I am.
Okay, and we can hear you. Very good. All votes will be taken by roll call vote. Anyone interested in speaking or providing comment must be recognized by the meeting chair before speaking. Once recognized, all speakers must come to the front of the room to be near the phone equipment, regardless of how brief the comment may be. Before offering comments, the speaker must identify themselves by their first and last name every time they are recognized, and additionally should provide their home address the first time they are recognized. If a communication problem is encountered, we will take a brief break and try to resolve the issue. If the line disconnects, the remote participant is responsible for trying to reestablish the connection by dialing back to the phone system. If the problem cannot be resolved in a few minutes or continue to occur, the use of the equipment will be stopped. Background noise, conversation, and speaking without being recognized should be kept to a minimum, and we ask that all attendees remain quiet throughout the meeting unless recognized to speak. Selectman Durensis has recused himself from this meeting, so we have a quorum with the three of us, plus Mark is on the phone. The first item on the agenda is consideration and vote regarding West Suburban Health Group, and consideration to vote of other health insurance plan options, and to vote whether to engage in a process to change health insurance benefits under Chapter 32B, Sections 21 to 23. We have our Town Labor Council, Darren Klein, here. You want to introduce what we're doing here today, if you don't mind?
Again, my name is Darren Klein from Copeland & Page. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for having me here today. So, as was discussed at a recent Board of Selectmen meeting, and I know it's been an issue for the past few months, if not longer, the town has been looking at other options other than the West Suburban Health Group for providing insurance. We have had meetings with all of the unions to discuss sort of and update each of the unions sort of as to what is going on with West Suburban Health Group, and also to provide them with details and information on new potential health insurance plans that the town is proposing offering July 1st if the town does decide to leave the West Suburban Health Group. One reason that there is a bit of a time urgency here is in late December, early January, West Suburban passed several changes to the joint participation agreement that we believe are very unfair and arguably not even legally enforceable, but did change the deadlines for withdrawing and terminating the participation. The most important one, and why we're probably here this morning, is the date for termination of participation was changed from March 31st to February 15th. So, as such, we're forced to make a decision. Again, even though we are going to object to all of the changes, including that change as far as being enforceable right away, we also need to protect the town's interest by, if the town is ready to make that decision to withdraw, by at least doing it before February 15th, so we've covered ourselves under the amendment. All of our meetings with the union so far have gone very well. I would like to really thank everyone from the selectmen to the town administrator, to the finance director, to Diane, to the school committee, the regional school committee, the superintendent, and all the unions themselves. It really has been a very cooperative effort thus far. We haven't reached an agreement per se because we haven't put exact wording on the table, but we plan to do that in very short order. But I would say our initial discussions were all positive, and it seems like everyone is on board and supportive of the changes. That doesn't mean that there's an agreement yet, but they're at least supportive of the direction that the town is considering moving in. And everyone has really hustled schedule-wise. We even had a snow day in the middle of this to really facilitate these meetings so far. So I I appreciate the cooperative effort from really everyone in the town in allowing these discussions to move forward at a pretty quick pace right now.
That's great, thank you. So I guess we're looking for action on a few different items. I don't know if David or Darren wants to walk us through what we need to do this morning.
I'd be happy to. I think there are two votes that the board needs to consider taking today. Because of that imposed February 15th deadline that's been imposed upon the town, you obviously need to take a vote today on whether or not you want to notify West Suburban Health Group that you will be terminating your participation effective June 30th at midnight. That would be the first vote. The other vote that I think the board needs to consider, and we have discussed this with all of the unions and also sent letters to all of the union presidents explaining this, is that the town needs to have sort of a plan B in mind too. We're hopeful, and we've explained that it is the town's absolute first choice to reach agreements with all the unions to change to the Maya plans that we presented. But if the unions obviously don't have to agree, and if they choose not to agree, the town needs to have if they do choose today, and if the board does vote today to leave the West Suburban Health Group, we need to make sure that we can provide health insurance to the employees on July 1st. So because of these very tight time deadlines, the other vote that the selectmen need to consider today is whether to commence the process under the healthcare reform laws. And that's known as sections 21 through 23 of Chapter 32B. The town's already adopted these laws, but the next step is to initiate the process. And the reason why that needs to be done today as well is there's a very rigid time sort of structure where a number of meetings have to take place. And what healthcare reform is, if I had to briefly summarize, is it takes health insurance out of the formal bargaining process, and it provides this alternative structure that we present the proposed new plans and what those savings would be, and we come to ultimately we either come to an agreement with the unions, or it goes before an expedited arbitration panel where they will make a decision on the new healthcare plans. It's very limited bargaining because it's already sort of predetermined the outcome, meaning that once you adopt healthcare reform, or I should say, if you finish that process, you will either be in the GIC, or you will have to supply what they call a GIC lookalike plan, a benchmark plan, a mirror plan. And those are, the best way I could summarize those are higher deductible plans and not as preferential of a copay structure of what we are offering under the Maya plans and what the employees currently get at West Suburban Health Group. Now, West Suburban Health Group is moving to the GIC benchmark plans, I want to say July 1st, 2017 for everybody, and for some of the towns on July 1st, 2016. The Maya plans are a different copay structure. So if we end up finishing the GIC process, the healthcare reform process, because we don't get agreements with the unions, at the end of the day, we will either be in the GIC, or you will have to produce a GIC lookalike plan. So we know that's the end result. Really what the arbitration panel is for us to sort of decide that. And also, the town has the ability to save, to provide up to 25% of the first year savings only, back to the employees in a number of different ways. So that's the issue also that's for the arbitration panel if the sides don't reach an agreement. But there is no more traditional bargaining on health insurance once you sort of complete that process. So we have made very clear, both verbally and in writing to the unions, that our choice is to not finish the healthcare reform process. It's to come to an agreement with the unions. But because of the time structure, you really need to sort of start that whole timeline very soon. So we're recommending that you also take a vote today whether to initiate that process, although we've made clear to the unions verbally and in writing that that's our second choice.
So it sounds like if we vote one, we pretty much need to vote the other anyways. Both of those items.
In my opinion, if you wait much longer on the healthcare reform, you will not have time to finish it in enough time to get the health insurance implemented by July 1st. We at least need to begin that timeline. There's a very rigid set of timelines involved.
Okay, good, great. Anybody have any more comments up here? Should we we have a motion to address the two items? I guess the first would be a vote regarding whether to withdraw from the West Suburban Health Group.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Colleen and a second by Mr. Yan. I'm going to take well, first I'll see, is there any discussion? Mark, is there anything you want to say?
No.
Okay, and then I'll take a roll call vote on that motion. Mr. Brandon?
Yes.
Mr. Colleen?
Yes.
Mr. Yan?
Yes.
And myself is yes, so that's 4-0. And so we would be withdrawing, and that in effect is authorizing you to send this letter that you
Yeah.
prepared.
Yes, I'm assuming unless I told otherwise, I'm authorized to notify West Suburban Health Group of your vote, and also, as I spoke about, we have objections to their changes, and we're going to put them on notice of that.
Yeah, and I noticed this is set up to go by first-class mail, but since today's the 12th and the 15th is a holiday,
I plan on emailing it today
Great.
and sending it by first-class mail.
fantastic, thank you.
Mr. Chair, can we, I think Dave and I have the same suggestions on the notice letter, which is to add claims under Mass General Law 176D, the unfair and deceptive.
Insurance, yeah, I
Yeah.
talked to David about that before.
I think it's an excellent suggestion, and I have actually, by handwriting, already added
Right,
that to
and
my
I've got a
draft.
markup here. And I also would suggest that a couple points, we say that the group is not only arbitrarily but unilaterally, just to emphasize that I have some markups here. We don't need to approve the specific
Yeah.
language.
No,
But
why don't
I'll
you
send-
give him, Darren, your markup? I had talked with David about the 176D thing
Yeah,
already. I think Darren has that, and those look like good language
I've
changes.
arbitrated a 176D case, not in health insurance, but the Act clearly applies to health insurance
Yeah.
policies too, so.
I think it's an excellent suggestion, and I also am adding a few words just to, Peter gave me a little bit of clarification on the name of the trust fund that the town has put money into, so I'll just be,
You'll work the letter
I'll
over.
explain that, yes.
Perfect. Okay, now do we need a motion and a vote on whether to engage in the process to change health insurance benefits provided under Chapter 32B, Sections 21 to 23.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Yan, second by Mr. Colleen. We need a roll call vote. Mr. Brandon?
Could you just, Mike, could you explain the motion? It was very difficult for me to hear.
The motion this motion is whether to engage in the process to change health insurance benefits under Chapter 32B, Sections 21 to 23. So we would be invoking the statute. We wouldn't be committing ourselves to proceeding under that statute. As Labor Council has indicated, we want to bargain with the unions and have started that process already, and feel like it looks like we've made some progress perhaps, and would like to continue in that vein. But because of the schedule, we will need at some point to start completing this statutory process if we can't get to an agreement pretty soon. So we wanted to invoke that statute now, or authorize ourselves to use that statute now.
And that's the recommendation of our council.
That's the recommendation of council and our finance director and our town administrator.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I guess we've had discussion, so we'll have a vote. Mr. Brandon?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Colleen?
Yes.
Mr. Yan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes also, so that's that. We also have on the agenda here, David, consideration to vote of other health insurance plan options. Is there something we actually need to vote on for that?
I don't think so.
No, I think that was originally put on the agenda just if there was discussion about some of the healthcare options that we're offering through Maya, proposing through Maya. You know, the agenda was made actually before the meetings we had this week
That's
with the
right,
schools.
okay.
So we just didn't know if there might be new issues raised that would be worthy of discussion.
Okay.
But
And is
I think we're good on that issue.
Okay, so is there any other business we have to attend to this morning? Anybody? Okay, good. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Okay, need a roll call vote. Mr. Brandon?
Yes.
Mr. Colleen?
Yes.
Mr. Yan?
Yes.
And I'm yes, we're adjourned.